practicability is often about what can be done, but in essence, it asks a deeper question, one we can all relate with. If we do something, is it something that we can all live with forever? And we believe that it is our duty to tell you that with all that we stand to lose and all the complications we will experience, putting the Scarborough Shoals in the hands of China is something that we will all regret. And if the global community were to find a trustworthy party to take hold of these shoals, it should be the Philippines. Three things. First, the Scarborough's location will pose a security threat to the Philippines if the shoals were owned by China. Two, the Philippines is more likely to submit themselves to economic regulation while giving the shoals to China can potentially dismantle the world's economic system. And three, other countries will never recognize Chinese possession because it will endanger their own interests. Let's start with the first, security. China has already been suspected of conducting military operations in Mischief Reef in 1994 when they built structures which they said were shelters for fishermen. China also planted buoys around the Sabina Shoals and other atolls near other countries, making the exact same excuse. China seems to have a habit of making seemingly harmless posts that eventually grow into concrete structures that just so happen to look like military facilities. Let's remember that China has a very beautiful record of security breaches with other countries. They have a talent for running anti-satellite operations for stealing information and sending hackers to sabotage other countries. The Philippines has a good reason to not feel safe. The Mischief Reef is only 130 miles away from Palawan, Sabina Shoals only 70 nautical miles away, and now the Scarborough Shoals only 124 miles from the very place where the American allies used to conduct military exercises in our country. And this is the hard part. We cannot tell for sure. And as long as the Philippines is only an earshot from China's possible secret surveillance, the country will never be able to sleep at night, knowing that we can never be too sure what our next door neighbor is up to, especially now that the Subic port of Zambales has become one of our biggest economic gateways for Asian trade. That's why even now, we're receiving offers of protection from the United States, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and other countries even before the dispute is resolved. And that's exactly why it's impracticable. Given that there's no way to ascertain our safety, China will always be too close for comfort. We would rather err on the side of preventing paranoia among Filipinos of the possibility of a Chinese invasion. The Philippines and its allies will have to work that harder in order to protect itself from security breaches that even the US could not protect themselves from. Let's move to the second argument, economy. China's hold on Scarborough Shoals is the last step to grounding its 9-line claim over the South China Sea. And this will set their internal waters in stone. And already, so many are afraid. Australia, United States, India, Russia, and even Chinese allies like Pakistan call the dispute to be placed under the jurisdiction of the UNCLOS because they fear that if China got its way with bilateral agreements, their hold on the South China Sea will allow them to completely dictate the fate of 2/3 of the shipping routes of the entire world. This would mean great inconveniences on so many countries who depend so much on these trading routes. Let's compare. Not only is the Philippines closer to the shoal, which means that they are more capable of efficiently accessing these resources, but they are also known for their openness to economic ties with other Asian nations. Just last year, they entertained 35 bids from other countries for the shoal's research and exploration for future industrial joint projects. These joint endeavors would be clear contractual relations with other states legally bound by treaties under law. These relations are the kind that are easier to be regulated by the ASEAN, the World Trade Organization, and the rest of the world, compared to a very unilateral and economically closed communist China that has a long history of self-serving and protectionist economic policies. The bottom line is this. China's gain, should we give them the shoals, will be at the cost of everybody else's inconvenience. But if we give it to the Philippines, we believe that there is more likeliness for them to be able to share and give it to other Asian nations as well. Finally, the interests of other countries. A harmonious global community requires recognition and respect of other countries. Otherwise, they remain nothing more than unilateral acts. As discussed by my colleague, legitimizing China's historical claim over the shoal will mean that Vietnam will most likely have to let go of the Paracel Islands, will have to give up Spratlys, and Japan's Senkaku. And as I've said, Western countries are going to incur lots of costs having to change trading routes. Ultimately, giving the shoals to China will be hard to accept and impracticable to even swallow, not only by the Philippines, but by the rest of the world, for one very, very simple reason. the effects of which are something that we simply cannot live with.